With what's been said that, look, when they drafted the UDHR, there was debates, most of the Latin American countries and the Northern European countries wanted the right to life in there, right? And so that contentiousness, and there's a nice book about this by Chris Roberts, I think. But there is that contentiousness, and there was this conservative strain that you can find back there. But I'm more interested in the question, maybe two interrelated questions that I think touch on at least both your papers, maybe not Daphne's paper. The first is, if you look elsewhere, like in the U.S., there's a strong conservative human rights, newer version of it coming out, which is Christianist, right, religious freedom, and often says interesting things about protecting religious freedom, which means we got to spend more attention on the rights of Christians abroad, right, and not necessarily Muslims. So you could say, and my question though is actually just a more open question. Is there exchange, right? And is there a learning going on? You talked a little bit about that in your paper, coalitions, and I wonder whether that's happening. And basically, more to the point, is there a taxonomy we can really have of what these are that might help, right? To say that, well, these types of groups really have a religious foundation, which then may be selective, and then we can talk and argue about whether it crosses the threshold or not. But there's something there that I still wasn't sure about. How the Israeli rightist, human rights groups, whether they really operate with a theological foundation, the way the Russian Orthodox Church does, or the way Catholic fascists did in the 40s when they pushed for human rights, themselves, and then non-fascist Catholics. But the second thing, which I thought was really interesting, is this question of working with the state. And I'd be curious just to hear more about that. And this is, I think, again, for both of these examples, because one way we often define human rights is basically claims against the state, right? But you were suggesting here, in a lot of cases, particularly for these groups, there really is no claim against the state. It really is a claim with the state, because it's kind of, as you said, intercepting the boomerang or making this move to say we can kind of help the state, and so that would be interesting to think about, and maybe more conceptually, what do they think about the state, right? Does that kind of set them apart, and that the state is fine for them? It's just about kind of voicing their affiliation. So.
Responses from